Beginning with the end in mind, let's get started making our own Nutcracker landscape. Let's begin this project by drawing out our landscape. I sped this up quite a bit because you couldn't really see very well my pencil lines, but I want you to know that I'm sketching out a horizontal line for my foreground and middle ground, and also adding in some different trees and overlapping different ways to show space. Items that are drawn really big and some trees that are drawn pretty small. It gives me an opportunity to show space with the way that I draw. Let's go ahead and start painting in our background. When you begin painting your landscape, notice how I take a little bit of color with a little bit of white and start painting in my tree. While I still have that paint on my brush, go ahead and use it in a few different places so that you don't constantly have to wash, dry your brush. So now that I've got my turquoise plus white, you'll notice that on my plate, I am not taking all of the turquoise and all of the white and mixing them together, but instead taking my brush, dipping it into the turquoise, dipping it into the white, and then when I paint with it, I decide, does it need a little bit darker color or does it need more white to make it a little lighter? Again, notice my blue, I did the same thing. Took a little bit of blue, and then I'm just taking a little bit of white and painting that onto my paper. So now that I've got a nice color coverage, I'm going to go ahead and speed it up a little bit, and I want you to watch how I double dip my brush into the color and into white and let them mix onto the paper. Anytime that I think that there's too much color, I'll just add a little bit of white to it. Anytime I think that there's too much white, add a little bit more color to it. It's based on what you think, making our tints onto our painting. You get to be the artist. You get to decide what tone or what tint of color that you like for each of your trees. And then when you're switching your colors, because I went from blue to purple, you notice that I grabbed a little bit of a towel and a little bit of water, double dipping my paints, a little bit of purple, a little bit of white, both on the brush, and start painting that in as well. But anytime that I'm going to switch colors, please wash out your brush. You'll end up with a better color, a color that you would like more than the colors mixing. So anytime that I'm going to go ahead and switch colors, please wash and dry your brush. It is important to dry it, otherwise your paints become very watery and less coverage onto your paper. I hope you have fun watching the rest of this video, thinking about what kinds of tints that you'd like to create into your snowy landscape. Looking at some of the figures, choose at least 2. Maybe you want to have 3, but whatever you want to choose for your figures, whether it's Clara, Sugar Plum Fairy, the mouse, or a Nutcracker. And once you've decided on which characters you would like to add into your project, go ahead and also put in some details or maybe some shapes, maybe some clothing that would be representative of who they are, whether it's facial decor or hats or designs, just to help make that figure a little bit more lifelike. Then I took a black Sharpie or a black marker and I started to outline my pencil work so that everybody could see what it was that I drew and it doesn't get lost when I start to color. All of my details, all of my shapes, all of my designs make it so that you can see what I tried to draw. Lastly, you'll notice that I'm going to go ahead and outline with some markers, some colored markers, and then color with crayon or colored pencils, just to give it a little bit more color and make it a little bit more lifelike. Please also do that to your other figures that you would like to include into your landscape. Now that you have your figures done and completed, go ahead and take a moment to cut them out. You'll notice that the paper is turning, but my scissors stay mainly straight. That makes it a lot easier to cut around. Take your time on your cutting so that you don't cut out anything important. If something gets cut off that wasn't supposed to get cut off, just save it and glue it down to your landscape right where it belongs, and you'll have your figure still complete. Now let's go ahead and take a moment. I forgot to videotape the part where I grabbed some oil pastels and I made some designs onto my trees, as well as outlined my trees with a black oil pastel. I also took a brown oil pastel and added that to my tree trunk. Again, my apologies for not getting that on camera. Then I took my figures, glued those down, and massaged the back so that they didn't come off. Any final details that you would like to add, I put a little bit of glitter on this one that can be added at this point. Happy art making. Thanks for watching.